Kuzambo to all of you. My name is Tshering. I work as a CEO and founder at the IBEST company. I started this IBEST company way back into 2014. The objective of starting the company was to provide the services in the best professional manner.
Alright, so thank you very much. Tell us briefly, what is IBEST?
Basically, when we started IBEST company, we started as a consulting firm. Through a consulting firm, we were trying to help our people back in the villages, and especially people living in towns who were aspiring to become entrepreneurs. So in that time, what we were trying to do is we were trying to help people in terms of writing their business project proposal, and then we were also guiding them how to run a business. And then later on, what we tried to do was, because we were quite successful in terms of doing our consulting work, and then I thought why don't we start an institute? So being able to set up an institute, because for us as a company, it could give us more influence and outreach. Because through our institute, what we were trying to do was, we were trying to bring all the expertise in one place, and then whatever training that we could provide. So it was giving a value addition to the consulting services that we have been providing.
What made you want to open or start this IBEST Institute and consultancy?
The main objective to start a company, the consulting and the institute, was to firstly encourage, and then secondly it was to provide the services. The objective was to, in the first place, was to train our people in terms of maybe they can be young, there can be people working in the government or the corporate sector or the private sector. So what we were trying to do was to equip them with the technologies, with the happenings, and in terms of skills.
Well, if you could also tell me some of the services provided by the company.
As of now, what we do is we have 3 units at the IBEST company. The first one is we do have a consulting unit, and then second one is we do have institute, and then the third one, which is quite interesting, we have is an animation studio company. Through a consulting unit, we try to help our people in terms of writing their business project proposal, and then we try to help them in terms of guiding and mentoring how to run a business. That is for consulting. And then for an institute, what we try to do is we try to train our young people who are looking for an employment, and our people who are working in the government, the corporate and the private sector. And then through our training services, what we try to do is we try to provide the best of the best training so that they can apply whatever skills they have learned at the workplace. The third unit that we already have set up, and then we are already 2 months into operations. That one is one of the most exciting thing ever happening at the IBEST. So that is the IBEST animation studio. So through this company, what we are trying to do is we are trying to create a content which is digital in the form of animation. So what we are currently doing is we have trained 25 people, young people, over the last 1 year, and then given them employment. So they have been with us for last 2 months in the employment. So through the IBEST Animation Studio, what we are trying to do is we are trying to create a content so that our Bhutanese people will consume the content in a way they could learn something through our content. For example, we are trying to develop our content which are related to our old age traditions, like folk tales, folklores, and then in a Dzongkha we say Khaju and Tamju.
Well, sir, you have also attended quite a lot of training, especially in the field of entrepreneurship.
Yes.
So I want to ask this, how would you define entrepreneur?
At a very personal level, but it may not be true, but for me as a person, what I genuinely believe is nobody can train you to become an entrepreneur. Only thing that the ordinary people and then entrepreneur, they are different is with the attitude. Those people who have this entrepreneurial instinct, those people who have this entrepreneurial mindset, it has to be there in that person. But nobody can touch that. Only you as a person who is willing to become an entrepreneur, who is going to take the risks, who is going to take the ownership and responsibility for whatever you are going to do, whether you will fail or whether you will succeed. I think that is what defines people as an entrepreneur, between the ordinary and the entrepreneur person.
So if you could tell me, how did you become an entrepreneur? Or can we call you as an entrepreneur?
I think it will be quite difficult to call myself at this stage as an entrepreneur because in age-wise, I'm not that really old, but I'm not that young also. So I'm somewhere in the middle of the age, especially in terms of productive working age now. So only time will tell whether I can be called as an entrepreneur or I cannot be called as an entrepreneur. But one thing I want to make it clear is like whatever I do, whatever we try to achieve as a company with so many people working in the company, we try to achieve something which no one in Bhutan has dared to do. So in that way, in terms of taking a risk and in terms of traveling the road less traveled, maybe I can call myself as an entrepreneur, but only time will tell.
Well, could you briefly tell us how did you reach here? I mean, how did you become an entrepreneur?
My story of having become an entrepreneur is quite a long story, but to just cut it short, during the whole schooling days and then at the college, I was way too good in academics. So I didn't become entrepreneur just because I didn't have an employment opportunity or I didn't get an employment member. So in my case, it was a call that you can say, there's a call within you that you have to become somebody else, that you have to be somebody else, that the desire me all a burning desire. So in a way, like after I finished my degree, though I had this idea of becoming a farmer, a dairy farmer way back into college, so I tried after a degree, after working for some time in the media as a print journalist, so it really came to me and it really inspired and motivated me that I have to become an entrepreneur. I had this feeling, and then I went to a village. I ran a dairy farm for more than 2 years. Then after that, I worked for one private sector, and then it really kind of told me that I'm wasting my youth, I'm wasting my energy, because when I have this potential and the capability, then I thought why don't I again go out and then set up a company. Then this is how I set up the IBEST company session.
What's your view, I mean, your observation when it comes to entrepreneurial culture among the young job seekers here in our country? What do you feel about it?
Just to connect with the story, in 2009, I started to work as a print journalist. And now when I look back in the last 9 to 10 years, the difference that I see now here in Bhutan is many of our people, even the people who are at the grassroots level, who are at the community level, they are quite familiar with the concept of entrepreneurship. So basically now our people back in the villages are saying, whatever we do, if we are able to do something which is related to business, at the end of the day, I think business is good. So what I'm trying to say is there's a whole shift in the entrepreneurship culture. To me as a person, I heard the word entrepreneur for the first time in 2009. It was a new word. Now if you ask people, do you know what is entrepreneur? Do you know what is entrepreneurship? Most people are aware about it. So what I'm saying is most of our people, they know what is entrepreneur. Now especially when we talk about our youth having the mind, having the zeal, having the motivation to become an entrepreneur, I think it is quite not encouraging situation. Our young people, they still feel like they are privileged, that whatever they have to do in life, they have to be provided for, say no more. And then this is what I tell the young people whom I come across. We should take away that mindset and an attitude that somebody else has to come to you and then do for you. So what I'm trying to say is whatever they want to do, they have to come forward. If they have a problem to get the access to finance, they should talk to people around them. Just don't keep a problem within them. And then if they have a problem to running a business, or in terms of getting the idea, or in terms of managing the finance, they should talk to people. They should get the supports. It's just a matter of time.
But do you think, especially the young job seekers, say just out of college students or high school students, do you think these young people are well informed about this entrepreneurial culture?
I'm not that aware about of entrepreneurship culture being made aware in our school, but I'm pretty much aware like the entrepreneurship culture, the awareness and entrepreneurship. They are made aware at the university and at the institute level. So what I know is like, for example, at the Gedo College of Business, they have a course for entrepreneurship, and in many of the RV-owned universities, they have this entrepreneurship key, some sort of training, some sort of a guidance, and then especially in the technical training institutes, VTIs and technical training institutes, they have one module do now. But what will happen is like, when we say entrepreneurship I think we have to be very much aware, because entrepreneurship is just a soft skill it's a soft skill and then this is what we have been talking with our friends, and then when we meet the government official people. Now our education system, not the full education system, and especially at the certain level, beyond the general education we have to move away because when you have already grown a tree, and then if the tree doesn't give a fruit, you can't start again, I'm like shaking the branch, watering, or you can't, because we have to start from the seedling and the sapling. So what I'm trying to say is like, all of us, we know like our kind of education system is a general, it is just to make them literate. Now we have to move our education system from knowledge based to skill based according to the job market. So this is what we have to do. And then if this thing we can do after the 10th level of standard, because many of our Buddhist people, they study 12th. So in 2 years, now just imagine like we can provide the skills that are related to the job market, that are needed in the job market, or that will be needed in the job market. Then on the soft skill end, we are making our young people aware about the entrepreneurship culture, making them the entrepreneurial skills and motivation and encouragement. Just imagine, on the other hand, we are equipping our young people with the technical skills. When the technical skills and the entrepreneurship mindset comes together, that is when we create the real entrepreneurs. So this is what we have to try to do.
But how do you think we can promote this entrepreneurial spirit, especially among the young job seekers, be it college graduate or high school graduates?
That is very much possible. I myself being there in this entrepreneurship field for last 9 years, I think these things are very much possible. It's just that people working at all levels should have a little bit of patience, should have heart, should have the level of acceptance, but it will happen. Because just imagine in 2009 and 2017, in the last 8 to 9 and 10 years, so much has happened. Now why I say like it will happen is, from the government end, at the highest state level, the government is very much aware that the only way forward that we can solve the unemployment problem, we can solve this rural to urban migration problem, that we can solve this farming related problem, is only through entrepreneurship. Because government has realized that.
How?
Government has tried to, in the first place, try to create a conducive conditions. They have listened to the public, they have listened to the entrepreneur, but they were not able to do it fully. Why I say the current government and the earlier government, they have listened. There are so many reasons why. I'm happy with the current government, especially for one initiative. And then they have done it, the highest support from the state level for our entrepreneurs. They have come up with this initiative called setting up of the BIC. And this funding is for our entrepreneurs. It's just that our entrepreneurs have to fulfill some criteria, but government was willing to give the money. But to me, as a person who is working in this field, I'm like, setting up of the BIC for the benefit of our public, especially those people who want to do a business, who wants to set up a business. That was the highest level of support. But what did our financial sector do in the last 4 to 5 decades? The only people who got the funding was only those people who had this collateral and mortgage. What about our young people? Where can our young people bring the collateral and mortgage? Nowhere is possible. And that was the highest form of support to our entrepreneurs from the government. And second thing, why I say like that, the earlier government, they have listened to our public, is to make the services accessible to our public. They have come up with the G2C, online services. Now you say like you want to get a license, apply online. You want to get a timber, you apply online. And then our government, they have taken the online services to each and every Georg center. In that Georg center, they have the highest speed. So in that way, our government has done so much. Now what I'm saying is, when the government is doing so much for the benefit of our young people who are employed or who are aspiring to be, and then those people who are back in villages, who are willing and aspiring to set up a business, the government is doing all for them. But at the same time, what is happening is, when you are doing so much for the benefit of the public, anyone, but when the result is not coming, then what is happening is like our policymakers, officers who are working in the government sector, they get demotivated, they get discouraged. That's why I'm telling, let's have some patience, let's have some heart. Things will gradually happen. For a country like Bhutan, 700,000 people, even if we have wonderful 10 entrepreneurs every year who are becoming successful, who are being able to set up business, just imagine what wonders it can do.
Alright, so I happened to go through the web page of your company, and then there were, I think, about 4 missions, and one of them is to create enterprises and to nurture entrepreneurs. If you could explain, or if you could talk more about this.
The reason why we set up our consulting and institute units are, first thing first, still, I myself being an entrepreneur, as a young person coming into a business, and then I myself having failed of running a business. So what I thought was, we genuinely need a support system. What I'm trying to say is like, in our country, what we need is like, we need a service which can be either instituted by the government or the corporate or the NGO, but through the support of the government. We need this mentoring and the guidance units. Why I'm telling this is like, now during the entrepreneurship training, we are just training people, okay, this is how to do a business, this is how to write a project proposal, this is how to do a marketing, this is how to do your promotion. But nowhere, as of now in Bhutan, we don't have a place to go to talk to somebody else. Just say like, okay, I have a problem with my employees. Okay, how to manage? Okay, my sales is not improving. How to make the sales better? So what I'm saying is, we need a place. Anyway, it can be anywhere. It can be instituted by anyone. Just to go there and talk. Okay, just to get the advice, just to get the mentoring, just to get the guidance. That's why, in our case, so that is the prime objective, as a prime mission for us. So as a young entrepreneur myself who have failed because I didn't know where to go, I didn't know whom to talk to, I didn't know what I was doing. So just to provide these services. So we are saying like, one of our mission is to inculcate this entrepreneurship and then to help people to develop their enterprise. Just imagine, we are able to guide those people who are coming to us. It can be a client or anyone who are coming to us. We can guide them in doing the business. We can just say like, okay, this is how to do it, this is how it should be done. So just see whether you can do it or not. So in that way, we are contributing towards creation of enterprise. So basically through a person as an entrepreneur.
And another mission is to contribute towards employment generation. If you could also briefly talk about this mission of your company.
If we are able to create entrepreneur in the first place, groom them, inculcate them, and then create an enterprise or a company or anything, so employment is going to definitely happen. That is one. And then let's say like through our training services, if we provide the best of the best training services, the skills which are abreast and which are needed in the job market, employment can automatically happen.
I'm sure, you may have a lot of rules, but I want to ask you about 3 rules. Yes. What are the 3 rules to become a successful entrepreneur?
Okay, the 3 rules to become a successful entrepreneur. The first one is, Don't ever listen to anyone la. Nobody knows about you better than yourself. You're the boss for yourself la. That is one la. And then second thing is, don't get carried away by what is happening. It is your life. You lead your life. You become what you want to, and then you go after it. It's a dream. Nobody cares about your dream. The only person that who cares about your dream is yourself. Nobody else la. That is true la. Once you have started, there's no going back. The only way forward to go is keep on doing and keep on going. That's it la.
Thank you very much for being on Generation May la.
Thank you so much la.
Well, this is me, Tshering Wangchuk, signing off for the program, and thank you very much for listening.